Sparks produced by our water dropper system we used in Lesson 2 create some surprising interactions with nearby objects. As students investigate these interactions, they begin asking important questions about the forces involved and how energy is transferred. These questions drive the learning in Unit C.2, Lesson 3. I'm Jamie Yos, an OpenSciEd teacher, facilitator, and item writer, and I'm here to provide an overview of how this lesson fits into the overall sequence of the unit. I'll highlight the lesson's key instructional moments and share classroom-tested strategies to help you guide your students as they develop their understanding of what causes lightning and why some locations are safer than others during a lightning storm. Let's look at where we left off in Lesson 2, where students analyzed data that showed a relationship between rain and lightning. And then using the water dropper system, they saw water falling can create lightning-like sparks. They considered the merits and limitations of both the initial and consensus models and the physical model of the water dropper system. And then they brainstormed what additional objects that we could use to figure out more about what's happening in the water dropper system. Specifically, how do different objects interact with the system before and after the spark forms? Let's look at the foundation of this lesson, Lesson 3. This is an investigation lesson that is a continuation of Lesson 2, where the water dropper system was introduced. Anticipate using 4 water dropper systems with foil electroscopes and test objects for this investigation that you'll spread around the room. In the teacher's guide, there are 4 videos you can watch to help with the setup of the stations, along with a teacher reference document for test object construction. It initially sounds like a lot of preparation, but the test objects are really simple to construct and organize, and you'll be using the water dropper systems that you previously built. Just make sure to allow yourself about an hour for materials prep. And remember, make sure to double check that your water dropper systems are producing sparks before your classes. We can think about this lesson as happening in 2 parts, or sense-making loops. In the first loop, we reorient ourselves to what we wanted to investigate at the end of Lesson 2. We organize into groups, and then we explore the interactions between the water dropper systems with the student-selected objects. Students then share their noticings and wonderings and build an initial model for what caused the interactions they observed. At this point, they should recognize that there are attractive and repulsive forces between test objects and parts of the water dropper system. In the second sense-making loop, students fine-tune the objects used to test in the water dropper system and conduct a second round of observations. They share out their noticing and wonderings, and the class participates in a building understanding discussion in order to pull out patterns that wound up arising during their observations. To wrap up, students will brainstorm materials that they think are likely to produce sparks or static behavior and show how they might produce static electricity. In the second sense-making loop, we should arrive at the place where there are forces that appear to strengthen before the spark forms and weaken or disappear after the spark discharges, and that the distance the test objects are from the water dropper system affects the magnitude of the force between the object and the system. For this lesson, I'm looking to have my students walk away with 3 big takeaways. First, we will see that the water dropper system acts on objects by either pushing or pulling them, repelling or attracting them towards the system. We consider the phenomena that we see with the water dropper system allows us to compare actions at a small scale that are similar to the larger scale of lightning. We arrive at the understanding that the strength of the forces is related to where the objects are relative to the water dropper system. And lastly, that these distance forces decrease or disappear from the system when the movement of the spark appears, and then strengthen over time until the next spark. Now let's focus on several key moments of the lessons. There are 3 key points in this lessons that we want to make sure that students get to move our science thinking forward about what causes lightning. In Sense-Making Loop 1, Part 3 involves students testing objects they brought in with the water dropper system. Leave this process somewhat unstructured initially to allow students to explore interactions of their objects with the water dropper system. They'll be performing a second round of investigations later. This initial investigation will help them more clearly define what they should be noticing about the interactions and what objects they may want to use as detectors of static in the second round. These observations will lead into more questions for the driving question board and the development of their initial models of the water dropper system. Another key moment arises in Part 4, where students are sharing observations and developing their initial model. The 2 concepts that should surface are that not all test objects interact with the water dropper system, and not all locations of the water dropper system will interact with the test objects. This leads to an idea of forces that are acting at a distance on some objects at some locations within the water dropper system. In Sense-Making Loop Part 3, Sense-Making Loop 2, Part 6, several important ideas emerged during the building understanding discussion. Students noticed that the strength of the push or pull between objects changes over time. Just before the spark occurs, the force is at its strongest. When the spark happens, the force suddenly drops off and then gradually builds again until the next spark. The electroscopes provide an excellent visual representation of this pattern. Students also observed that some parts of the water dropper system have a greater effect on the test objects than others. In addition, they should recognize that distance plays an important role on the strength of the force. Test objects that are closer to the system experience a stronger push or pull, while objects that are farther away experience a weaker force. They may also start to use terms like magnetism or connect the attractive and repulsive interactions to what happens when they've explored magnets. These observations allow students to start to consider the relationship between matter and forces, which we will then add to the matter and energy poster that we previously built. This is a key moment in which students begin to recognize that forces are an essential part of explaining how objects in the system interact. The exploration of what's causing these forces will be a focus of Lesson 4 and 5. We wrap up by navigating out of this lesson by noting that our water dropper system produces lightning-like sparks, which appears to be similar to static electricity. So now we are wondering, what is happening when we produce static electricity? We'll take a moment to consider some tips and tricks from using this in this particular lesson in my classes. This investigation is best run with multiple water dropper systems. It's important to consider testing these systems prior to class time. Make sure that you are circulating around the room to see that the systems are working as students are conducting their investigations. An easy way to do this is to check the electroscopes. Are the aluminum leaves of the electroscope moving? If not, quickly check to see if the wires are connected properly. If a spark is not being observed, check the distance between the pennies. Don't forget to refer to the water dropper system troubleshooting guide and accompanying video for support. Initial models, when you're working with them, don't expect perfection. While they're building their models, support students in developing and using cause and effect. This is an opportunity to press students to realize that different objects or materials respond differently to the water dropper system. Some are attracted and some are repelled. Sometimes both are occurring. While students have not figured out why in this lesson, encourage them to wonder about the underlying causes of the direction and magnitude of the forces they are observing during the water dropper spark cycle. Remember that initial models have a role in exposing what we need to know to better explain the phenomena. Encourage students to pose questions on their models and add them to our driving question board. Some students, again, will want to use the word electricity or static electricity. They may also want to refer to gravity or magnetic forces when they try and explain pushes or pulls observed. Don't get hung up on the definitions of these ideas during their initial models. Sometimes, students will use this without a good definition of what those terms mean. Instead, encourage them to describe what they're observing. The term static or static electricity will be defined later in this lesson during part 7, when students are considering related phenomena to the spark in the water dropper system. Often classes recognize that static occurs when objects become charged through contact and interact with each other through a push or a pull or a force. Our next lesson will leverage this thinking more in the lead up to formalizing a definition around electrostatic forces. Let's take a moment to keep track of the tools we're using and developing in this lesson. A key tool is this MEF triangle. The MEF triangle and the related phenomenon posters are important to hang on to for future classes. We'll use the MEF triangle a lot through this unit and the year to help us make connections at particle levels. While we will not be using the water dropper system in future lessons, I always leave one set up for reference throughout the rest of the lessons in this unit. For the other 3 water dropper systems you've built, carefully disassemble and store them in a safe location for next year's classes. Student initial models will be used again in lesson number 4. And that brings us to lesson 4. We recognize that static electricity is similar to what we are seeing in the water dropper system and potentially lightning. So we decide to plan some investigations around what happens when we produce static. Thank you again for your time in exploring lesson 3, and I hope you enjoy your experiences with this lesson and your students.